Hello, this is Alex Lafkus. I'm going to talk to you about a few things that have to do with, things to expect that might not be so expected when you do start out guiding. Um, it's I wouldn't change anything about how I've lived my life and what I've done, but let me tell you, there's always ups and downs. And I think if you're getting into this thinking, oh, dream job, what else could you ever want to do? It is, but you're going to have hiccups along the way. Um, the income thing is something that changes, and it's a little bit more difficult to really figure out. It's just very seasonal, and it's in and out. And some years are better than others. You're dealing with a lot of ups and downs. So my general rule is like, or what I think about is, if you're grossing 40 to 50, that's typical for like your first 10 years. Now, your next, I would say, after that is when you can start growing into those bigger numbers where it's a little bit more sustainable of a living, into that $50,000 and $60,000 a year. Even more, depending on your length of season and what you want to do. But you also have to understand, the older you get, the more you're going to have to kind of cut back, find alternate things to do to where you can still make money. And I mean, you're going to have physical ailments. You're going to lose a little bit of energy as you get a little older. So no big deal. It's easy. It's easy enough to manage, but it is something to keep in mind. I would say that when you first get started, you might have a lot of buddies who you go fish with. Oh yeah, I'd love to book a day. Da 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 da. Those aren't the guys who book trips. Okay, you're guys who can fish great and do all this stuff. They can row, they can fish. Well, there's a reason. They go a lot, and they probably have a boat of their own. So you can't rely on stuff like that as far as an actual way to make money in guiding, especially as you start out. So it's kind of, how do you get other people? How do you get a different group of people to guide? That's a little harder. You can go talk to the clubs, which are kind of a dying breed. And that might draw up a little bit of business. The YouTube stuff is fine. You can film whatever, you can promote it on social media. That's fine. But once again, it's a limited number of people that'll see it. And probably you see more people that will just look to see where you're fishing, what you're doing, and just show up with their own boats. That's kind of what that gets you the most of. It'll lead to a few trips, but it'll bring a lot of intensity and heat to where you are guiding. It's sort of the spot burn. People really watch for that and look for where you are. So that's one thing you got to keep in mind, especially if you're doing something different that's not as exposed. That's good. But the second you start promoting it, just realize it's done. And it's not done for 1 year. It's done forever, because everybody will be there every year until the spot is totally ruined, from what I've seen. The one thing that I always try to keep in mind too is that you're really only as good as your last day out there. If you have somebody who this is their day, okay, it's still 500-600 a day, whatever it is. That's money to some people. Some people it's not, and it doesn't matter. It's a boat ride. Here's your chicken and whatever. But some of these guys, this is a major expense. So I really always put a little pressure on me, especially when I'm taking newer clients, because I know this is like their one day to go do this. Let's show them a positive experience. Let's teach them some stuff. Let's try to catch some fish. Obviously, you're not going to catch fish every day, or not nice fish, but you can try. And that's one thing that I think people do recognize, is the effort that goes in. And if they see that you're trying to do whatever you can do, I mean, that's going to go a ways for them. If you're just sitting there telling them they're never going to catch anything and it's horrible, that's a little different. I probably play that card with people who fish with me a lot more, and they know I get negative. But when I see it's bad, it's bad. But I also try to limit those days out there. I've got people I call when I see the right days. I call them, and if those days don't fire, then that's different. But you're going to try, because mentally going in, you got a shot. Now, if you have a day that's you're streamer fishing and you had a monster monsoon and the water's all chocolate milk, high skies, Yeah, that's a day you just cancel. You just don't take them. You don't steal their money that day. You just got to learn how to deal with that. Um, and that will pay dividends in the long run with clients. I've got clients of mine where I have told them, no, we're not going that day. Can you go Wednesday? Say if we were supposed to go on a Sunday or whatever. Some of them will be a little surprised, but the second they do that, if you can really start seeing it, knowing when they're going to bite, I've made clients for life because of one phone call like that. So a lot of it's about being honest and not just trying to get a paycheck out of them. It will pay dividends. It might hurt in the short term, but you just got to play that game. One thing that people getting started, I don't think they realize that the lack of ability most clients come with. They might drop a couple grand on a trip, but never dropped $100 on a casting lesson. So it is frustrating, but that's just what you're going to deal with. Most guys who are really good maybe have their own boat, go a lot on their own, and might not book as many guide days as you would hope being a guide. So a lot of it is being able to develop programs or having situations to where you can make them have success. If you're taking somebody for the first time, the first half hour is going to teach you a lot. If you can get them out there, you see that they can bomb it, they can cast good, they can hit spots. Okay, now we can fish this way. If they can't, okay, what adjustments am I going to have to make as a guide so that they still have a decent day and can catch some fish? It's something I put a lot of heat. I'm always tinkering and playing. And frankly, I find a ton of fun in that because, when you can dumb stuff down enough so-and-so or so-and-so can catch a nice fish, like that's pretty cool. I know what to expect when I go fishing. I know what to expect when I go fishing with my buddies. But when you get people who aren't that skilled, able to catch fish, it's a whole different level and it's fun. You're just going to have to understand that that's a lot of what you're dealing with is inexperienced anglers who definitely need a lot of help, whether it be the cast, the presentation, the hook set, and a lot of some of my rules are always, I need to get somebody, say my rule was 5 bites a day. If I can get them 5 good fish to eat a day, they should be able to get 1. Now that's a low return game. So it's one of those things. Now, do I have other guys? Yes. I've got guys where if I put them on 5, we're probably gonna have all 5 eat if they're eating dries. If they're eating streamers, they should be able to get 3 of them, maybe 4, depending on how well they're eating the bait that day. So there's a lot of little things that you've got to figure out into the equation, which also allows you to kind of determine what times of year are better to guide. I talked in a prior video about figuring out seasons. When I say that trout season's really about 3 to 4 months up here, even though you can fish for them for 10, I'm thinking about it as how many months a year can I put somebody on good fishing where they can have success, meaning decent number of bites, lots of opportunities so they can catch a few. That goes into understanding sort of how to become a good guide, is because you really only try to sell those times. If you're working through a fly shop or something's a little different, you kind of got a new person every day. You might not see them again. If you're working with a stable of 5 different guides, they might be like, well, I'll go with so-and-so next time. I'll go with so-and-so next time. But if you're doing it on your own, you really need to retain. That's a big thing. I see a lot of independent guides burning through clients. They're always self-promoting, doing the marketing stuff. Look, if you focus on the clients you have and just retain them, you don't need to be that guy. Retention is the biggest thing in guiding. They're taking a chance on you. You provide a good experience. They'll have no reason to call anybody else. That is number one in my book. The guys who have done that, you don't hear from them a lot on social media. You don't hear from them a lot on all sorts of other types of, promotion, going to give speeches, presentations, whatever, because they've retained their clients. And any guide who's been doing this for 10, 15 years shouldn't need to do that. If they have to continually self-promote, there's a problem because they are not retaining the people that they have had in the boat over the years. That's probably my number one focus when guiding, is just work on retention. Everything falls into place. And I'm not saying you're not selling BS. They're calling you again because you provided something that other guides have not to them. I would really focus on that and keep that at the top of your mind when you're doing that. But, you know, those are just a few more random thoughts on when you're starting to guide and what you're doing. If you do it the right way, the money will come. Might be a little more painful at the beginning, but you'll get there. Thanks for watching. You know, like, subscribe, comment below if you need, and give me some more ideas on what to talk about. We'll have a bunch more videos coming out, some on the water stuff, and we're actually working on editing a bunch of that stuff now. But that's it. Thank you.